My girlfriend told everyone I was controlling while secretly cheating, so I posted her messages online and let her ruin her reputation herself. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and for the longest time, I genuinely believed I had found my person. The kind of love people write songs about. Her name was Eva, and she walked into my life like she owned the place. Beautiful, confident, a little chaotic in a way that felt magnetic. I met her at a coffee shop I used to go to after work. She laughed at something dumb I said, and suddenly we were talking like we'd known each other forever. The first few weeks were magic. She'd surprise me with takeout on nights I worked late. She'd leave sticky notes on my bathroom mirror. Little doodles. "You've got this," or "I'm proud of you." Once when I had a horrible migraine, she massaged my scalp and sat with me for hours in silence. I'd never been cared for like that. My friends called her intense, but I brushed it off. They didn't see the soft parts of her, the way she held my hand during thunderstorms or the way her voice cracked when she talked about her mom. She said she had a rough past, and I was determined to be the safe place she never had. It wasn't long before she moved in. She had a falling out with her roommate, or at least that's what she told me. I offered my place and she acted like she didn't want to impose. But the next day, she was hauling in boxes. I remember sitting on the couch, watching her rearrange the books on my shelf, humming like she owned the air. It should have felt fast, but all I felt was warmth. If I had known what was coming, if I had known what she was capable of, I would have run that night, but instead I smiled and said, "Make yourself at home." It started small, harmless even. One night, I got a late text from my coworker, Jess. We were collaborating on a pitch, and she was asking if I could review something before our meeting the next day. The message wasn't flirty. It wasn't even personal. Just, "Hey, mind looking at this before tomorrow?" No rush. Eva saw the notification flash across my screen and went quiet. At first, I didn't think anything of it. I answered Jess, locked my phone, and turned back to Eva on the couch. "You didn't even ask who that was," she said, arms crossed. I told her, explained it was just work. That Jess has a fiancé and literally sits 2 desks over from me, but she didn't let it go. "Why is she texting you this late?" "She couldn't wait until morning?" "Do you always reply to women right away, or is that just a Jess thing?" Her voice was calm, too calm, but I could feel the anger bubbling beneath it. Like she was holding it together just enough to make me feel like the unreasonable one. "I didn't do anything wrong," I said. She exhaled sharply. "I just think boundaries matter in relationships. If it were me texting a guy at 10 p.m., you'd feel weird too." I didn't want to fight. I didn't even know why this felt so heavy, so I caved. Told her she was right. Promised I'd silence my work texts at night going forward. She smiled like she'd just won something. That should have been my first clue, because that wasn't a moment of honesty. It was a test. And I passed it exactly the way she wanted me to. But the next test? That one would change everything. At first, I thought it was love. That clinginess, the constant "where are you" texts. I told myself it meant she cared. She started asking for my location.
"Just so I don't worry," she said.
It sounded sweet, so I shared it. I didn't think twice. But then she'd get quiet if I didn't leave work right when I said I would, or if I stopped at the store without mentioning it. "I saw you took a detour." "Who are you with?" That was the first time I laughed it off. But she didn't. Her eyes darkened, like she was waiting to catch me in something. I'd be at lunch with coworkers, and my phone would buzz 4, 5, 6 times. "Why aren't you replying?" "Are you avoiding me?" "You said noon, it's 12:07. The worst part?" She never yelled. Never screamed. It was all in this soft, disappointed tone, like I was failing some invisible standard. Like I'd hurt her without even realizing it. She told me my best friend Eric was a bad influence, that he didn't respect relationships, that I should create space. I didn't want to, but I didn't want to fight either. So I stopped replying to Eric's texts. Skipped our usual Sunday hangouts. Eva always framed it as love. "I just want us to be close," she'd whisper. "It's us against the world." But little by little, I felt the walls closing in. My world started shrinking. Less time with friends, no more solo errands, no conversations with female coworkers unless she approved. And the scariest thing? I still thought I was the one messing up. Still trying to prove I wasn't a threat. That I could be trusted. That's the worst kind of trap. The one that makes you build the cage yourself. It started with a weird text from my friend Mark. "Hey man, are you okay? Ava mentioned you've been kind of intense lately." I stared at the message, confused. Intense? What was he talking about? I called him, asked what exactly Ava said. He got quiet, then said she told a few people I was struggling with control issues, that I'd been checking her phone, getting jealous, isolating her from friends. I actually laughed. "Wait, she said I was doing that?" Mark didn't laugh back. "She was worried about you, said she wanted us to keep an eye on you." That's when something in me twisted. A slow, sick feeling. I thought of all the times she'd flipped situations on me, all the quiet accusations, and now she was planting seeds in other people's heads. I brushed it off that night, told myself maybe she was venting, that maybe I had been distant lately, but then it happened again. A week later, Sarah, one of our mutual friends, asked if everything was okay between me and Ava. "She just seems scared to upset you," she said carefully, "like she's walking on eggshells." I felt my stomach drop. That phrase, walking on eggshells, I'd literally used that to describe how I felt around Eva. I started noticing things. Little looks our friends gave me, awkward silences when I walked into the room. Suddenly I wasn't the guy they joked around with. I was the boyfriend, the one they pitied or avoided. And Eva, she was still sweet as pie in front of me, still cuddling up on the couch like nothing was wrong, but something had shifted. She wasn't just manipulating me anymore. She was starting to shape how the entire world saw me. It was Mark's birthday. A backyard barbecue, nothing fancy, just our regular group. A few drinks, some music, and laughter in the air. Eva seemed off the whole evening. Distant. She kept floating around the party like she didn't want to be near me, barely touching me, barely talking. I tried to brush it off, give her space, not make a scene. Then I overheard her. She was on the patio with Sarah and another girl I didn't know well, clutching her drink and speaking in a hushed voice, just loud enough for me to catch pieces. "He checks my phone constantly. Freaks out if I don't answer right away. He made me block one of my friends. Can you believe that? I feel like I can't breathe sometimes." I froze. My chest tightened. Those were lies. Blatant, twisted lies. And she was saying them like she was the victim in some after-school special. I stepped back, heart pounding in my ears. I couldn't think straight. Was this what she'd been telling everyone? That I was some possessive, emotionally abusive monster? I confronted her on the drive home. Quietly at first. "I heard what you said to Sarah." She blinked like she had no idea what I meant. "What do you mean?" "You told them I check your phone. That I control you." "None of that's true, Ava." She turned away, folded her arms, and whispered, "You're being paranoid again." That word. Paranoid. It hit me like a slap. She didn't deny it. She just made me feel crazy for calling it out. The ride home was silent. The kind of silence that hums in your bones. And all I could think was, if she can lie about this so easily, what else is she lying about? After that party, everything shifted. Not just with Eva, but with everyone. Invites stopped coming in. Group chats dried up. At first, I thought it was coincidence. People get busy, right? But then I saw Instagram stories, dinners, game nights, bar hangouts, the same friends I'd known for years, all there. And Ava was with them, without me. I asked her once, trying to sound casual. "Hey, did something happen with Mark and them? Haven't heard from anyone lately." She gave me this sympathetic look. I didn't want to say anything, but they feel uncomfortable around you. Uncomfortable how? She shrugged. "They just feel like you're always watching me. Like you get tense when I talk to other people. I've told them you're working on it." That word again. Working on it. As if I was some project she'd been fixing behind the scenes. I wanted to scream, to defend myself. But I didn't. Because part of me wondered, had I changed? Had I become more anxious, more withdrawn, more reactive? I was losing my grip on what was true. I stopped going out. I barely checked my phone anymore. I didn't even know who believed her and who didn't. Eva, meanwhile, was thriving. Girls' nights, brunches, tagged in pictures, smiling ear to ear. And every time she came home, she acted like nothing was wrong. "Want Thai tonight?" she'd say, like she hadn't just spent 3 hours trashing me to people who used to be my friends. She was two people, sweet at home, tragic in public, and I was stuck in this purgatory, invisible in my own life. I started to wonder if she wanted me to disappear. And the worst part, I think I was starting to let her. It was late. Maybe 2 a.m. Eva had fallen asleep on the couch, wine glass still half full, her laptop open next to her. The glow from the screen lit up the room in that eerie blue hush. I wasn't snooping. Not really. I just went to close the lid and saw an open tab, Instagram, but not her usual profile. This one didn't have her name, just a weird handle and a profile picture of some random flower. No posts, a few hundred followers. But something about it felt hers. My heart started thudding. I scrolled through the DMs, and I swear the bottom dropped out of my world. There she was. Messaging guys, flirting, sending voice notes, joking about me, mocking me. He's so needy it's exhausting. Gotta go, the warden just got home. Honestly, can't wait to get out of here. One guy sent a shirtless pic. She replied with a heart emoji. Another one said, wish you were in my bed, and she answered, you have no idea. I stared at the screen, frozen. This wasn't vague. This wasn't innocent. This was cheating. And not even the kind where it just happened. This was planned, ongoing, deceptive. I started screenshotting everything. Every message, every reply, every timestamp. My hands were shaking, but I kept going. The craziest part? While she was out there calling me controlling, she was out there living a second life, and I realized something I'd refused to admit until now. She didn't love me. She loved controlling the story. The guilt, the anxiety, the way I'd pulled away from friends, all of it was engineered. And I had been too blind, too loyal, too in love to see it, but not anymore. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat in the kitchen with my phone, scrolling through the screenshots, my head spinning. Every timestamp was a knife. That night she told me she was visiting her mom. She was at some guy's place. The weekend she claimed she was working through some personal stuff. She was sending flirty voice notes at 1 a.m. I even recognized one of the names. It was Ryan, a guy we both knew. Mutual friend. She'd once called him a harmless flirt. I'd believed her. Trusted her. But in the DMs it was clear. They weren't just flirting. They'd hooked up. Multiple times. I kept replaying everything in my head. The gaslighting. The accusations. The guilt trips. All that time she was painting me as this overbearing boyfriend. And she was the one lying, sneaking, cheating behind my back. And the worst part? She wasn't even hiding it that well. She just knew I wouldn't look. She knew I was too busy blaming myself. I looked back at the texts she'd sent me during those times. Sweet ones. Miss you. You're my home. Let's never fall apart. It was like living in two timelines. One where I was the problem, and another where I was the fool. I wanted to confront her. Wake her up right then and there, shove the laptop in her face, scream, explain this. But something held me back. For the first time in months, I didn't feel powerless. I felt awake and something in me whispered, don't just react. Get everything. Make it count because this wasn't just betrayal. It was a story she'd written where I was the villain and she was the victim. But I had the truth now, and I was going to let the world read it. The next morning, I watched her stir her coffee like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't torn my world apart from the inside out. She looked up and smiled. You okay? You look tired. I wanted to laugh, or cry, or both. Instead, I said, did you talk to Ryan lately? Her hand froze. Just for a second. Barely noticeable, but I caught it. Then she went right back to sipping her coffee. No, why? I shrugged. Just wondering. She came around the table, slid her arms around my shoulders. Babe, you know I'd never do anything to hurt you, right? Her voice was honey sweet, but her eyes, they were searching, calculating. I nodded slowly. Of course. That's when I knew I couldn't confront her yet. She was too good at lying. Too good at turning things around, because the moment I showed my cards, she'd cry. She'd twist it. She'd say I was spying, that I had no right to invade her privacy. And the crazy part? People would believe her. Why? Because she'd already spent months planting the narrative that I was unhinged, controlling, unstable. I realized she wasn't just cheating, she was strategic. She'd been curating this little story for everyone around us. Poor Ava. Look what she has to deal with. She even started sending voice notes to friends. snippets of our arguments where she'd poke me until I snapped, then cut out her part and keep my reaction. "See?" she'd say. "He's always like this." I wasn't just being lied to, I was being framed. And the old me? The one who'd apologize to keep the peace, who'd take the blame just to stop the spiral? That version of me died somewhere between her burner DMs and her fake tears. I was done playing her villain. Now, I was going to be the narrator. That night, I lay in bed beside her and stared at the ceiling, heart racing like a war drum. She slept peacefully, one arm draped over my chest like she owned me. And maybe she did. For a while, but not anymore. I started planning in silence. Step by step. First thing, I opened a new bank account. Transferred small amounts from my checking so she wouldn't notice. Then I changed my email passwords. Made backups of everything. Her DMs, her voice notes, her photos with other guys. All time-stamped, cataloged, stored on multiple drives. Every lie had a receipt now. I called an old friend I hadn't spoken to in months. The same one. Eva made me cut off because he didn't respect our relationship. He answered immediately. No hesitation. "Man," he said after hearing the whole story, "I've been waiting for you to wake up." I started documenting everything she did around the house, too. Every time she flipped out and then denied it later. I didn't yell. I didn't react. I just observed, collected. She thought I was defeated, but I was just getting smarter. I began going gray rock. Short answers, no emotion, no engagement. The less I reacted, the more agitated she became. But I played dumb. Pretended I was just tired, work-stressed, distant. Let her believe the lie. Let her relax. Because when the truth came out, I wanted her to be completely unprepared. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg for justice. I was going to show everyone exactly who she really was, using her own words, her own voice, her own screenshots. The story she'd written about me was about to crumble, and this time, I held the pen. I waited until a Thursday night. It felt random enough. Not a big social event night, not a weekend, just a regular evening when people were home, scrolling on their phones. I created a brand new Instagram account. No name, no bio. No face, just a black profile picture. And then I posted everything. Screenshots of her DMs, her calling me needy, flirting with Ryan and half a dozen other guys, mocking me in group chats. Screenshots of her texts to me on the exact same days she was cheating, acting like the perfect girlfriend. "I'm so lucky to have you. Promise me we'll never break. You're the only one I trust." I didn't just post them randomly. I curated them. Each post told a piece of the story. Timeline ordered. Context clear. Names redacted. At first, but anyone who knew us would know. The writing was unmistakably hers. The usernames. The tone. Impossible to deny. Then I added the real punch. A screen recording scrolling through the burner account's message history, including the moment I accidentally found it on her laptop. No captions. No hashtags. I didn't tag her. I didn't tag anyone. I just uploaded and let it sit. Within an hour, it was being shared in group chats. By morning, it had over 3,000 views. DMs started pouring in. "Wait, is this about Ava? Is this real? Holy shit. She said you were the toxic one." I didn't reply to a single message. I didn't confirm or deny anything, because I didn't have to. People weren't just seeing the truth. They were connecting the dots themselves. And the thing about liars, once you turn the light on, they always scramble. By midday Friday, Eva knew. I don't know how she found out. Maybe someone sent her the link. Maybe she recognized the screenshots. But I'll never forget the moment she walked in, eyes wide and trembling like the whole world had just tipped sideways. "Did you do this?" she asked, voice shaking. I looked up from my laptop, calm as ever. "Do what?" She blinked, thrown off. "The account. The posts. You know what I'm talking about." I shrugged. "Why would I make up screenshots of your messages?" Her jaw clenched. She wasn't used to this version of me, the quiet one who didn't fold under pressure. "I swear to God if you don't take it down." But she stopped, because her phone buzzed, again and again. And again, it was blowing up. Her friends were leaving group chats. One messaged me privately. I had no idea. "She told us you were a psycho. I'm so sorry." And then someone leaked her group chat. Turns out Eva wasn't just bad-mouthing me. She was trashing everyone. Friends, coworkers, even her sister, calling them fake, stupid, irrelevant, making fun of their relationships, their appearances, everything. The screenshots of those messages went viral among our friend circles faster than anything I posted. She tried to spin it. Said it was all photoshopped. Claimed I was obsessed. That I deep-faked her texts. But the timestamps matched. The writing style was hers. Her excuses unraveled in real time. People stopped replying. Her closest friends ghosted her. Ryan blocked her. She spiraled, posting cryptic stories, deleting them minutes later, changing her profile picture to black, then back again, and I just watched, silent, not smug. Not gloating, just still, because for once she was the one screaming into a void. And no one was listening. It was a Sunday afternoon, quiet, overcast, the kind of day that feels like a deep exhale. I was finally starting to feel normal again. Then the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there she was. Disheveled, eyes wild, mascara smudged like she hadn't slept in days. "You ruined my life," she shrieked before I could even speak. "You're a psychopath." A manipulative, abusive piece of... I didn't flinch. I just stood there, calm, detached. "You lied, Eva," I said quietly. To me, to everyone. She shoved past me into the apartment like a storm. "Oh, please, don't pretend you're innocent. You planned this. You wanted to humiliate me." I closed the door, leaned against it. "No, I just posted the truth." She was pacing now, full meltdown mode. "You don't understand what you've done. People won't even talk to me anymore. I've lost everything." I looked her in the eye and said the words that had been sitting on my chest for months. "You didn't lose anything. You destroyed it yourself," she froze. For a second, the rage cracked. I saw something else underneath, fear maybe. Or shame. Then she turned it on again. "You don't care what happens to me, do you? I could hurt myself and it'd be your fault." That one stopped me cold. She was dangerous. Not just to me, to herself, emotionally, mentally unstable. I couldn't reason with her anymore. I picked up my phone and called her mom. "Eva's here," I said. "I think she needs help." "You should come," she screamed at me as I escorted her out. Cursed me, threatened to sue. Said I'd regret this forever. But as the door clicked shut behind her, I felt nothing, no victory. No revenge thrill, just silence. And for the first time in forever, I wasn't afraid of it. After Ava left that day, she never came back. Not physically, anyway. But the echo of what she did, what I let happen, lingered like smoke in every corner of my life. I didn't bounce back overnight. The relief of her being gone was real, but so was the damage. My confidence? Shattered. My ability to trust? Hanging by a thread, for weeks I flinched at notifications. I avoided mirrors. I second-guessed everything I said, everything I felt. I started therapy. The first session, I sat there staring at the floor, trying to explain what had happened without sounding crazy. My therapist listened. Really listened. And then she said, "You've been gaslit." "That's trauma." "You're not broken. You were manipulated." I broke down. Because hearing someone finally validate what I'd been through felt like oxygen after drowning. Rebuilding wasn't glamorous. It was quiet, hard work. I reconnected with a few old friends, people Ava had driven away. Some responded, some didn't. I didn't blame them. They'd only ever heard her version of me. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned. Photography, hiking, even journaling. Writing down my thoughts became a ritual, one I used to dread but eventually learned to crave. I also started setting boundaries everywhere, at work, with friends, even in casual conversations. I stopped explaining myself to people who didn't ask to understand me. Dating? Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. Right now, I need to learn how to be okay with me again. Eva's name still comes up sometimes. I hear rumors. I hear she's spiraling, blaming everyone but herself. But I've stopped checking. Stopped caring. Because this isn't her story anymore. It's mine. And for the first time in years, I finally feel like I'm the one writing it. It had been a few months. Things had gone quiet. No more drama, no more unexpected visits or cryptic posts. I was starting to believe the storm had passed for good. Then I got a message request on Instagram. It was from a woman I didn't recognize. Profile photo, 2 kids. Bio, wife, mom, faith, and family. My stomach dropped. The message said, "Hi, I know this is random, but I think we need to talk. It's about Eva and my husband." Her husband's name was Kyle. And yep, he was one of the guys in the DMs I'd found. The late night messages. The flirty banter. The one Ava said was just someone she met at the gym. He wasn't just a fling. He was married, with children. And Eva knew. The woman, Lauren, told me everything. She found the screenshots through mutual friends who had shared my anonymous post. At first, she didn't think anything of it. But the usernames, the timestamps, they matched her husband's calendar. The locations lined up. She confronted Kyle. He confessed. Said it didn't mean anything that Eva told him she was single and being abused by her boyfriend. I nearly laughed out loud. Same script, same lies, same manipulation. Lauren had already filed for divorce. She wasn't contacting me for drama. She just wanted closure. To tell me I wasn't crazy. That she saw what Eva was capable of. And in that moment, it hit me. This whole time, I'd been focused on the damage Eva did to me. But she'd left a trail of destruction behind her. People I didn't even know. People who also got used, lied to, discarded. Karma didn't just knock on her door. It kicked it in, and I didn't have to lift a finger. Some nights I still replay it all. The red flags, the guilt, the manipulation that felt like love. I used to wonder how I let it get that far, how someone could twist me into a version of myself I didn't even recognize. But now I don't ask those questions with shame. I ask them with clarity, with distance, with strength, because I made it out. And not just out of the relationship, out of the prison she built inside my head. There's a strange kind of peace that comes after surviving someone like Eva. It's not loud. It's not triumphant. It's quiet, steady, like waking up after a long illness and realizing you can breathe without pain. I still have moments where I question people's intentions, still hesitate when someone says, "You can trust me," but I'm learning. Relearning, really, how to listen to my gut, how to believe in my own version of events without needing permission. I journal now almost every night. I write letters to myself, not to her. I don't need to speak to her anymore. She's a chapter I've finished, dog-eared, and moved past. I've even thought about sharing this story publicly. Not for revenge. Not for validation, but because someone out there is where I was. Someone is being made to feel like they're the problem when they're really the target. And if that person finds this and realizes they're not alone, now that's enough, because closure doesn't always come with an apology. Sometimes it comes with silence, with distance, with growth, and in my case, it came with the truth. She tried to ruin my reputation, but in the end, she exposed herself.